So now we're moving on to the next project, and that is the Camaro. Now, this one's got solid roller cam, so these valves need to be set. They need to be, hopefully not, but I got to check them. And there's, I guess, two ways you can do it. One is you put a bump starter on there, which I could. The other is I crank it over by hand with put a like a ratchet on the crank pulley bolt, which, you know, I don't really want to do. The other is I put an actual switch in here, a bump stop switch, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to mount this switch into the engine compartment here. Now, several places where this can go. Typically you want this to be accessible on both sides, so you put it on the firewall. I mean, I put two switches, one on each side, but I don't really need to do that. But what I've decided I'm going to do is I'm going to put it right here, right in the middle. I've got hood pins, so I don't really need this. This apparently isn't doing anything anyhow. So what I'm thinking of doing here is I'm going to pull this off, and I've got some brackets here. Again, got all my brackets. This bracket, this one, and this one here. Honestly, I want to try and use this one. That fits, that works. I mean, I'll have to drill it and all that. I'll probably have to cut these studs off, but that would work good. I just got to maybe adjust the angle on there a bit. So the first part of the process here is to get that bracket out of there and see what I'm dealing with. Okay, so and we've got 12 point on there. That means I think I've got a 12 point socket here. Let's go have a look in my tool boxes here. I don't have them in here. Why GM would do that, I don't know, but here we go. I need 1/2 inch. 16ths, 1/2 inch. Okay, so we'll use this one. I find if I put my tools away, I tend to less chance of losing the damn things. So let's do that. Get this off of here. Okay. So the other one's a 1/2 inch, and this is 7/16, so it's actually pretty tight. So this is probably metric, but see if I can get it. Nope. This will probably have to come off because this is underneath there. At least loosen it off. touch. Miserable. All right, we'll start cutting this off here. Let's see. So we're going to cut these off. Get a better angle on that. Nope. It's gonna be like where we're just at it. So you'll see the sparks. You won't see the show. Smells like a bad fish dinner. All right, now we'll do the other side, which will be here, the other way. Shredded things could come in handy for something. So here we go, and then we'll clean that up with a flapper wheel, and which we'll do later. Here I gotta continue. Yeah, we'll clean that up with a flapper wheel. All right, flapper wheel on here. Better. Of course, it's going to have to get painted. So, but that's a little cold right now to do any kind of painting, but at least we'll get all this stuff sorted out and do the final paint and all that kind of stuff once everything's working. So that's gonna be all right. Now, next step here is I'm gonna drill 2 holes into the rad support, and we'll put some nut certs in there, and then take it from there. So let's get that, and we'll catch up. Notice I got the safety glasses on. Can't see anything without my glasses, but at least I'm not gonna get stuff in my eye. All right, so just like that, have it centered as much as possible. There. Because of this angle, this is sticking up a little high, so I'm gonna have to knock this down like that. Okay, so I got the 2 marks there. Center punch each hole here. So it's got something to bite into. And going in on a bit of an angle here. Hopefully I can drill it. Without having Nope, that's not going to work. So, plan B. Which I don't have. So I do have a 90-degree drill. I don't think it's here. Let's go have a look. Okay, there's all my air goodies. And I do. Look at that. And that will do the tricks. Okay, so I just got to put a end on here, get my air compressor on, and then I can start drilling away here. So we'll catch up here in a few minutes. Anyhow, that's kind of where it's looking at here. So that'll all be paint. I'll paint all that. Okay, I'll get rid of these 2 things here. And yeah, and then this part here I'm going to pull out too. I'm going to remove this piece here. I don't need that. So, all right. Okay, I spared you the excitement of me drilling a hole in this bracket, but this is how the switch is going to look. There we go. So that's going to go like that. That's going to go. This gets nutted on here. Like that. And then the rubber boot, rubber cap, will go on top of the switch here. So that'll keep the weather out of it. Water, not that this thing sees water, but you never know. I've got caught rainstorm, thunderstorm, whatever. But anyhow, then that'll work. And that'll go there. Now, I got my 90-degree here. I was trying to prefer to start with a smaller bit on this. I don't know how sharp this is, probably not that sharp, but I don't have the chuck key for this, and I've got the ones that I do have here don't fit, so hopefully I have that at my other shop. But in the meantime, I'm going to see if I can make this work. I'll drill a couple of holes here, and hopefully I'll go through my rigging, which air compressor off. Okay, now we'll get the 3/8 hole drill through the nut here. Hopefully I can get this in there. Otherwise, I'll have to find a chuck, or you gotta get a new, buy a new one. So let's hopefully this works. You know, even though it's a little rough, I don't want to make it any worse than it has to be. We'll put a rag on here. It's good, but you don't want to force it on something. Good. Okay. So, just going to take the flopper wheel here. Just going to clean the burrs off of here if we can. That's good. Okay. Now, seen me do this before in my previous videos on how to install nut certs. So essentially you want to be able to get enough purchase so you can squeeze it. So this is going to squeeze in and it's going to capture the other side of the, on the other side here, squeeze it on and lock that insert in. But you have to have it so that you can actually get a grip, depending on how big your house, the size of your hand. And then you might have to go in there and adjust it. And give it a second pull. That will go here now. Okay. And just gonna squeeze this into the touch. That's in there good. Do the other one. Thing is, if it comes out, for whatever reason, the first two I did when I did the catch can there, I didn't have them in there tight enough. So I'm gonna that on. some reason. Okay, it'll be fine. Now, I'll get two 7/16 bolts here and put that in. And put it on up. That's close to my close. So I'm gonna drill this out a little bit more. I don't know how that didn't happen, but I guess messing around there. Okay, so I've drilled both holes out. Just poured them out a bit. And we will. So all I gotta do is put a couple of washers. Let's see. Lock washer. And washer. There. And so switch here, like that. One in here. And we'll tighten that up a little. This. There, so now, when I want to bump the engine over, I'll be able to do it from here. And the angle there is fine. So the next thing is I'm going to take this off. All these spare parts for Camaro. Nothing else, they got some decent bolts here. My hood off here. Again, that's going to get painted. This part I'll just hit it with a spray bomb. I just don't have any paint right here right now. That'll get done pretty quick. And the last bolt's probably the one that's going to be the worst one. There. And it needs one of these. You know where to find them. But you can't have the bolts. So next step, now we got all this installed, is we're going to wire this. So I'm gonna run the wires up under here, through here, and then down. I'll show you that. You can see down there I have a junction box. Right here, which has power. Okay, so that's battery powered. So the 12-volt source. So I'm going to run the wire into here, and then the other wire is going to go down to the starter. Okay, so I got this wired now. You can see here, get some light on this. So I've got it loomed through here. Actually went underneath the bumper in here, bumper skin, through that hole, down and into the box. This is the wire right here. So that side of it's done. Now I'm gonna have to jack the car up and get underneath her and hook this up to the starter. Now I'm pretty sure it's this car, but this one has, instead of having a nut on the solenoid, it's a spade connector, which means that I'll have to cut that spade off and then terminate those two wires together into a bigger spade connector. Hopefully I have one that'll work. So yeah, so we'll catch up when I got that done, and we'll give it a shot, see if it works. So here's where I'm at. I actually had to drop the starter. I wish I got it hanging there, where we can see that or not. It's hanging there, take my word for it. It does have a spade connector, which is a bit of a pain, but in any case, to get at it, I had to drop the starter because the headers are in the way. So this is the signal wire right here. And that goes on the solenoid, and that's your start. When you hit the key, that's what activates the solenoid, starter solenoid. Now, I need a yellow spade connector, which I don't have. And that pile of stuff, this is all my yellow, because I need the bigger gauge. I don't have, so I'm at a bit of a standstill right now. I'm gonna have to get a pack of yellow spade connectors. How about that? And just gives me another reason to go to Princess Auto, which is in the States, it's like Harbor Freight, and it's never a bad reason to go there. So that's going to happen tomorrow, and kind of that, gonna have to let this play out here for the next couple of days, which you won't even notice. So now we're gonna wire this thing. So this is the signal wire for the starter, spade connector, like I thought. Originally I was going to wire it, double this up here, and then run the wire this way to the switch. But what I'm going to do now, I've decided, is I'm going to run the wire, I'm going to splice it into here somewhere, and I'm going to run the wire up and around the engine bay, through here, and to the switch here. It's just a little cleaner, and I don't have to worry about header heat or anything like that getting caught up in there. So next step here is I'm gonna work this around, get it to that side, and then yeah, we'll splice it up. Then I got to install the starter, which I did have to pull that out, and then hopefully everything works and I didn't screw up. So you don't need to watch me run the loom here and run the wire, but I'll keep you posted. Okay, so I got the wire all loomed up here. I had to splice in another section of wire because the initial wire I had was too short. So we'll just wire it around, cut where I need to, and go from there. And just for your pleasure, you can watch me run the loom in speed, like 4 coffee speed. Okay, so now I got the wires here, and I'm just gonna splice it in here and get ugly on the starter, I guess. Yeah, so almost done. Hopefully it works, like I said. In the meantime, I got all 3 cars here of mine. So I got the Camaro, which obviously we're working on. And I got my Beaumont here, which we did work on. And that's down for the winter, and this is gonna be down for the winter pretty quick. And then my daily driver, which is my Pontiac. So, there you go, look at that, 2 cars. So, for those of you new to my channel, what I do is I just mess around with my cars. I'm retired and got some time on my hands, and I just take on projects now that I never had time to do or didn't want to do because I'd tie the car up for a weekend. I prefer to drive it as opposed to have the thing sitting on stands. So now I can come out to my shop, work on it when I want. If I don't get it done in that day, today, let's say, and I got to come back tomorrow, well, then I do, but it works out pretty good. So lots of that stuff going on. And in the winter when everything's put away, then I typically mess around with my guitars, either popping them up or cleaning them or doing something with them. So that'll be coming too this winter. But check my channel out, check all the videos on there. There's lots. Some are repetitive or whatever, but I'm just a dude, an old guy, having some fun here. So new subscribers, welcome. And yeah, we'll carry on here. So I got to splice this in, which is pretty straightforward, and then I got to get under the car and hook that up and get the starter in. So catch up in a bit. All right, so there's my handiwork. Oh, let's see here, there we go. So brown wire is going to the bump switch, the red wire is starter, and then I heat shrunk that as well. And yeah, so now I get to crawl under there and mess around with a starter. So that's the part I don't like, but it's a necessary thing because without it, I'm screwed. So we'll catch up when I got that thing going in, at least, and then we'll hit the button and see whether I cause a fire or blow the thing up, or whether it actually works as intended. All right, starter's in, power is on. That was the moment of truth here to see whether I created a fire, a bomb, whether this button will actually work the way I want it to. So 3, 2, 1. Hey, there you go. Perfect. Now, here's the other thing. Because I have a wire directed to start a solenoid, I put the ignition on. Well, it probably won't work because I need the clutch. But let's see if get some feel going here. Now what I'm thinking here is if I can start it from here, no, because it needs the clutch. Aha! So now I can start it. Let's get this here sorted here. there you go. Works as intended. So I can start the engine from the button. I can bump it whenever I want. Now, the next thing is to do the valve set. We'll get that next. So, and I gotta tighten up. I gotta get all the wires cleaned up here underneath there, make sure nothing's hitting on the fenders. But anyhow, that's the end of this ordeal. Before I put this thing on the ground, I'm going on a little road trip here this week. Tomorrow, today's Monday, September, what is it? September 8th. So Tuesday, September 9th, I'm going on a road trip. I'll be back on the following Monday, and then I'm gonna do a oil change on this. So yeah, pretty cool. It's always good fun when you plan something out and it works out as intended. So yeah, now I can't wait to do the next car show, and somebody says, what that button for? I gotta get a do not touch sticker for it, and make sure that I don't do a demo with the thing in gear. So anyhow, thanks for watching. Please subscribe, share with your friends. Feel free to make comments here. And as I say, I'm just doing this for fun. And if I can learn something and pass that along, all the better. So take care, and we'll catch up on the next video.